Oh, I thought I would
Are
have
you
it.
recorded?
Yeah, right now. So three, two, one. Um, okay. So, hey, Rebecca, so you've kind of mentioned some thoughts about wanting to die and wanting to take your own life. I realize this is kind of a difficult time for you, and it's kind of a difficult topic in general, but I do have this CAMS suicide status form that I want to run through with you. It's nothing, it sounds intimidating. I promise you it's not. It's just um, kind of more of a structured way for us to continue having this conversation. And that way we're just on the same page and recording all the information that we need to on paper. Does that sound okay?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Um, so these first few questions, they're going to be on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being low pain, 5 being high pain. Um, and they'll just touch on some different aspects of what you might be going through here. So the first one would be rate your psychological pain, like your hurt, anguish, misery in your mind. It's not talking about stress or physical pain, but just that kind of psychological weight. So 1 to 5, how would you kind of feel?
I'd probably say like a 4 or 5.
Okay. And then what would be the most painful part of that psychological pain?
This might sound crazy, but like voices in my head. It's like people will pick on me and they'll tell me certain things. And so then I start believing it and like doubting myself because of what they've told me.
So just that kind of relentless, self-critical voice in your head.
Yeah.
Um, and just so you know, when I take little pauses, I'm just recording kind of briefly what you said. Yeah. Okay. So the next one, again, same scale, 1 to 5. It's just going to be on stress. So your general feeling of being pressured or overwhelmed, anything going on.
I would probably honestly give it a 5.
5.
Yeah.
And what's the most stressful part?
Like like at school, I'm not trying anymore because I don't really want to even be there. And then when I get home, my family gets mad at me because I'm not trying. So,
Yeah, so kind of both at home and at school. There's not really a break from it.
no. Mm.
It'd be really hard. Yeah. Um, this next one is going to be rating your agitation, which would include your emotional urgency, feeling like you need to be taking action. It's not including irritation or annoyance, but just that like that internal I should be doing or yeah.
I'd probably give it like a 2 or a 3.
Okay.
I feel like I'm not needing, like I want to, but I don't have the drive to, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Or the willpower to.
yeah, that makes sense. This fourth one will be rating your levels of hopelessness and just how much you're feeling like no matter what happens, things won't get better, or like you're just kind of stuck with the way things are.
Like a 3 or 4.
And when would you say that, or what would you say you're feeling most hopeless about?
Like that feeling of like I don't belong.
Yeah, really hard. And what's kind of driving feeling like you don't belong?
I mean, like, I feel like I don't have like my own space. Like I feel like I don't have an area that I belong to. Like again, at school I get picked on. And then at home my family just yells at me. So I feel like I don't belong.
Yeah, yeah, I would definitely agree. Um, so this last one would be rating your self-hate, like kind of that um, general feeling of like disliking yourself, or you have low self-esteem, or just constantly like attacking yourself. Where would you rate that?
4 or 5.
It's a little higher. And what is it that you feel like you might hate most about yourself?
Just I start thinking what they're telling me. Like I feel like I'm dumb. I feel like I'm not pretty enough. I'm not social enough. I'm too weird. Like, like I just feel like I'm not doing okay.
Yeah, kind of like just internalizing those voices that everyone else, or those things that everyone else might be saying about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would definitely be very difficult to not do that while this is happening in so many different areas of your life.
Yeah.
So what like oh, so there's one last one that's just a little shorter, but um what would you say your overall risk of suicide would be? One being extremely low risk, not going to happen, versus five, extremely high risk, like you will.
Like a 2 or 3. It's because like earlier I said like I feel like I don't have the willpower to actually go through with it.
Yeah. Um, so now I just kind of want you to think about those five different ones that we talked about before, psychological pain, stress, agitation, hopelessness, and self-hate, and just kind of rank which ones are, the most severe for you and least. So what would you say the most severe or distressing one is? And I can repeat those again if you need.
Probably either the psychological or the self-hate.
Okay.
So maybe self-hate is one.
Okay. And then psychological would be second.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then do you know what would be third between stress, agitation, and hopelessness?
Maybe stress.
And then next, Say again?
Hopelessness?
Hopelessness? Okay.
Yeah.
And then 5 being agitation.
Yeah.
Um, so keeping all of that kind of in mind, how much is being suicidal related to thoughts and feelings about yourself? Is more of an internal drive, 1 to 5, 1 being not at all, 5 being completely about yourself.
Tough question.
Take your time.
Maybe like a 3, maybe.
3.
Yeah.
And then kind of the flip side of that question, how much is being suicidal related to thoughts or feelings about others as external sources?
Mm, Probably 4 or 5.
All right. So now this might be a little difficult to think through, but I'm right here with you. I just want to go over your feelings for dying and what those specific reasons might be. I know you kind of mentioned some about home and school and all that, but just so we can kind of list them specifically on.
I feel I feel like I'm almost it's not good enough.
Not good enough at what?
Like everything. Like like school, I'm not good enough. Like I'm not getting good grades at home. I'm not clean enough. I'm not with the family enough. Yeah. Um, I'm just tired of the bullying.
Uh,
Like I don't know how to stop it.
yeah,
Um, yeah, my family. I feel I feel like I'm almost a weight or a burden to them at this point.
have they have they told you that you're a burden or mentioned it or
No, but that's how I feel.
okay,
Like I feel like if you're excited to have someone in your life, you won't just constantly yell at them. Like you won't critique them on a daily basis or say that like I'm messing up this or this. So I feel like it's their actions and their words that make me feel like a burden.
yeah. Mm. Are there any other reasons that kind of stick out in your head for dying?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So between the 3 of those, how would you rank those being like the most prevalent reason to least?
Mm, Probably the order I gave, like the first one being 1, the second one, second, family, third.
Okay, now I know that this is sometimes not always easy to think about being in the headspace you're in, but I want to do the same thing for reasons for living.
And I have a dog.
What kind of
He
dog do you
seems
have?
to be a corgi.
Little corgi?
Yeah. He seems to be the only one that's excited to see me.
Okay.
Um, I also really, I do actually like swimming because I was on the swim team a couple years ago. I got really good at it, but I didn't feel safe doing it anymore.
What do you mean you didn't feel safe anymore?
Well, my teammates just kept picking on me. Like, and then my mom, when I dropped out, my mom got mad at me because I could have gone a scholarship for it.
Is that kind of where the bullying and everything started?
Mm, that's when it really got bad.
Are there any other reasons you can think of for living?
Mm, might sound dumb, but I really like watching sunrises.
Oh, it doesn't sound dumb at all. They're beautiful. Are there any other reasons you can kind of think of?
Mm,
Okay. So then same thing, like where would you rank those reasons as far as strongest reason to least?
Probably my dog first.
Yeah.
Um, then I would actually say sunrises second, and then swimming third.
Right. Yeah. Thanks for sticking with me through those. I know sometimes those are both kind of difficult or freaky to go through. Um, the next part will be another scale. It's 0 to 8, 0 being not at all, 8 being very much. And the first question being, I wish to live to the following extent.
Um, I do a 6 or a 5.
Okay. And then next one, I wish to die to the following extent.
Like a 4 or a 5.
Um, and this next one will be like a short answer. Um, the one thing that would help me no longer feel suicidal would be,
I guess loved or cared for, wanted,
yeah,
like almost like what my dog treats me, but have it as a human.
yeah, it's that excited to see you and be around you. And
Yeah.
okay, so that's it for the first page. Inside. So this next part, um, it's just going to be a little more specific to your ideas and thoughts around your suicide. Um, the first stuff here will be about suicide ideation. Um, so when you're having these thoughts about suicide, what are they kind of like? What's going through your head?
Like, I just want everything to stop. I want my head to stop thinking. I want people to stop criticizing and yelling at me. I just want things to stop.
Yeah, of course. Um, And then how many times a day would you say that you kind of have those thoughts?
I'd say over like school, like weekdays, it goes up more. Like at least 7 times a day.
Yeah. And then if you had to say how many times a week that those thoughts come up, how many would that be?
I would say pretty often. Like over weekdays, like every class I'm in, I get bullied. So like every time I'm in those classes, I think about it. And when I'm home, anytime my family yells at me, I think about it. So like it sounds like a high number, but like maybe like 50 times a week they pop in my head.
And then, yeah, I appreciate you being open, honest, even if some of this does sound like high numbers or something.
Yeah.
Um, and then kind of just going along that same line, how many times would you say per month you can ever have these thoughts?
Wow. I guess I never thought about that. I guess I guess like 50 times four, like 200 times a month.
And that's just kind of the reason we're going through this too, because one keeps us on the same page on paper, but also helps you think about some different aspects that maybe you haven't considered before.
Yeah.
And then when you're having these thoughts, how how long do they last? Like seconds, minutes, hours?
I would say minutes. I like quick thoughts. Like for example, like I have this girl in my one class, and every time like I sit down, she's like, "Oh, look, she's here." Like, "Oh, is she gonna break the chair?" Oh, like it picks on me. So then I think about like, oh, like if I just kill myself, it'll just stop. Like then she can't do that. And then I would go on my day, like on my class. And then anytime she talks about it, then like it comes back up. So it stays for like maybe 5 minutes at a time.
Okay. Is that usually how long they last when you're at home too? Just like little 5 minute.
Yeah. Like, like if my dad is yelling at me, like, oh, you got another F on this test. What are you doing with your time? And he just yells at me. I just in my head, I'm like, if I'm gone, then you don't have to worry about it. Like, then you don't have to complain about my grades. So
Um, oh, are you still there?
you froze. Yes.
Cool. I think it's working now, but yeah, you froze for a second. Um, okay, so as far as a suicide plan, have you come up with an actual plan for how you might do that?
I thought about just drowning,
Um,
like while I'm in the pool and swimming. Like, what if I just hold on to the ladder and just drown?
do you have an idea of where you would do that?
Um, Like I swim, I have a pool that I go to, but it's at like a rec center, so there's people all over. There's a lifeguard. So then I thought, well, what if I go to like a local lake? They're just far. But I thought about, oh, if I go to a lake and hold on to a rock.
Right. Yeah, the lifeguard might kind of get in the way of that plan.
Hmm.
And then, do you have an idea of when you might?
No.
Is there any preparation that you've already taken towards this?
Um, like 6 months ago, I tried, but I hated the water in my throat.
Okay.
Like it scared me. So because it scared me, I haven't thought about actually doing it again. But that's my thought of how I would. I just can't get the willpower to.
Right. And so you feel like it would be different the next time if you were to go through with it?
Maybe, I mean, I think about it, then I just get scared of like not breathing. Like, and so then that thought kind of comes back, like when I was panicking for air and scared me. And like I'm a swimmer, like I know how to breathe in water, like handle breath. So when I didn't learn how to handle it, it's scary. It was scary for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of counterintuitive to all your training and everything from your years of
Mhm.
swimming.
Yeah.
Um, okay. There's another question in here about rehearsal, but it sounds like, with that previous attempt that would kind of go as a
Yeah.
rehearsal.
Yeah. And it was 6 months ago. It was December.
And was that at a lake?
No, normally people don't go swimming around December time.
No.
So like the rec center was pretty empty. Um, so I just was curious what it would look like, what it would feel like.
Sure. Yeah. And then how did you stay underwater? Was it holding on to the ladder like you mentioned earlier, or did you find something heavy?
No, I held on to the ladder.
Uh,
And then when I came back up, the lifeguard told me, "Hey, like, don't play around like that."
The lifeguard was still present there.
Yeah, but I think he was distracted at first.
I have an interesting sentence to hear, like when you first come out of the water after that experience, just you don't play around like that anymore.
Hmm. Made me feel like, again, like I'm just a mess up. Mm.
Have you ever had any other attempts in life?
No, that one just scared me that I don't want to. I haven't thought about trying again.
Oh, Um, I have a sneeze just like kind of right on the edge, but well, it's not kind. So, um, but how these next kind of questions are more rating yourself or how relevant they might be to you. Um, but this first one, impulsivity, is that you feel like you're a very impulsive person?
No.
Oh.
Mm-mm.
Um, what about substance abuse?
Mm-mm.
Um,
I mean, as a swimmer, they would drug test us all the time. So like,
right.
no.
Yeah. Um, have you suffered any significant losses, either
Mm-mm.
near the time of the attempt or now?
Mm-mm.
Have you been having any relationship problems?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like all the girls in my school, it feels like, I mean, my parents,
Do you have any siblings?
mm-mm, just me.
And then you kind of mentioned this before, but just to check again, feeling like a burden to others.
Hmm. Mainly to my parents,
Not so much to any,
especially
sorry.
no. I mean, like I said, I was close to getting a scholarship for swimming, and now that I don't even want to be in the classroom anymore. Like my grades have suffered, so then my family yells at me like, "What is wrong? Like, what's happening? You like, you messed that up. You blew your chance," kind of situation.
Yeah. It's constantly stuff like you're a failure, you're not good enough.
Mhm.
Um, do you have any health problems or any constant pain physically?
Um, I mean, sometimes my shoulders hurt,
Yeah.
but that's just because of swimming. I do what's called the butterfly stroke, and so it's all arms. So
Yeah.
shoulders sometimes hurt.
Yeah. It's almost like I would imagine that might be like a constant reminder for you too of
A little
just
bit.
everything that happens surrounding that.
Yeah, a little bit.
Do you have any sleep problems, like trouble sleeping or just sleeping too much? Anything?
Yeah, I think weekdays I sleep too little, and then weekends I catch up on my sleep, but that also just helps me not be by my family.
Well,
So,
so sometimes it's used to kind of avoid or stay out of like those family situations.
yeah.
Do you have any legal or financial issues?
Mm. I mean, I don't have a job, but my family pays for things for me. So I don't know. Mm.
still just kind of dependent on them.
Hmm. Well, because they understood with swimming, they're like, you can't work and do this. So they understood.
Yeah. Do you have any, is there any shame surrounding any of this?
Yeah.
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 Um, is there anything that kind of sticks out with that shame or like how intense it would be? Or,
Like, I feel shame that I was the top swimmer in my school district, and now I'm barely passing my classes. So, I mean, they had to pull me because I wasn't meeting the standards.
right.
So,
Yeah, all of that would be, that's a lot. That's a lot. And I just
mhm.
want to like reaffirm that with you that, it's understandable that these feelings and these thoughts would come up because you are dealing with a lot of heavy issues and a lot of strong criticism in most areas of your life. Yeah, of
I've never had anyone say that before. So thanks.
course. Um, so this next part is just kind of looking at um, problem description, goal and objective, and then possibly, if we can come up with it, maybe an intervention. Um, so just what would you say is one of the main problems that would need fixing in this situation?
Um, I feel like my grades have suffered so much, but like I don't even want to go to school. So like I don't know if it's if I could even do like go online or something.
Have you looked at any online schools?
No.
So maybe that could
But
be, sorry.
but I was also thinking about what if I transfer schools, but because like I'm like any athlete might know me, so that scares me about trying to transfer.
uh,
So yeah, I've never thought about online. Like I don't even know what's available.
So maybe that could be one point of, that could be one goal and kind of progress towards helping, just researching online schools and what those options might look like. Um, yeah, because the point of this is not to find other stuff to load up your plate with or, yeah, give you another thing on your to-do list, but just to look at small steps that might help alleviate some of that stress you're under or in some way help. So yeah,
I
research I
guess,
think sounds great.
I guess even maybe bringing in my family, like my parents,
Okay.
to help me.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when I was younger, we had a really good relationship. So maybe seeing if they can help me try to bring them back in.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think that's great. That's a huge statement, especially with everything else in mind. I mean, that's very mature. Um, yeah. And then, is there anything you think you could help currently with your grades? Like anything else to help you maybe understand the material more or do the work more?
I mean, maybe I could ask my teachers. Like I told one teacher I was getting bullied in class,
Hmm.
and she was the one that was really trying to help me. Like she moved me away from them. We do group projects. She made sure I wasn't with them. So like maybe I could go to her and just ask like, "Hey, I don't want to fail your class.
Um,
Like, what can I do?"
yeah, so I think that's a great idea. Great job for already trying that with one teacher, and it sounds like she's very helpful and understanding about it.
Yeah.
Is there, so with grade suffering, I just want to like clarify, is it more just doing the work or not understanding the content? That's why they're suffering.
It depends on the class, but the most majority it's not doing the work.
Okay,
Like when I'm in class, it's a good distraction from what people are saying. Like I could focus on what the teacher's teaching,
sure.
but then when I get home, I don't want to do any of the assignments.
Yeah. Um, so tutoring wouldn't really make much of a difference because it's not necessarily a understanding comprehension.
No, maybe like uh, like finding a space outside of home to do work, but not in a school.
Okay.
So I don't know what that would look like.
Do you have any ideas of what a good environment might look like as far as what would help you focus?
Where I don't know anyone.
You don't know. Okay. So maybe
Be
like a
nice.
coffee shop or library or someplace.
Yeah, I never really thought about those. Yeah.
Maybe we can put that down as like an intervention technique too. Trying to find a local coffee shop to do homework at.
Yeah.
And then just so we can put a timeline to it to help you with the timeline is not like a deadline. Like if you miss it, it's not another thing that you fail. It's just more so to kind of help you to help it make seem more achievable in your head. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Yeah, it does.
So
Oh, I said yeah, it does.
so what do you think a good timeline to shoot for? Like talking to your teachers, maybe finding a local coffee shop, or and also researching online schools, possibly talking to your family, bringing them in to kind of help. What do you think would be a good time to do all that by?
Um, I can honestly start this week. Like maybe one day after school, find a coffee shop to do some homework. Maybe talk to my teachers ahead of time. Um, then maybe this weekend talk to my parents and see what they think.
That sounds great. Yeah. So by this weekend, just kind of looking at some of that stuff,
Yeah,
finding coffee shop. I
yeah.
think, yeah, just the way you described it, it's great. Um, okay, so we'll consider that one tabled for now. that kind of problem and everything. Is there another major problem that you think we can kind of work on fixing to kind of help?
I would like to get back into a swim team,
Huh?
like compete. I don't know how I could do that, especially if I go online.
Right. Um, so I'm not as familiar with swimming and leagues and all that stuff might work, so you might have to help explain some stuff to me here.
Okay.
Um, but are there different, I mean, you mentioned you swim at the rec center, right? So are there any kind of clubs or leagues through that you'd be able to swim with?
Not that I've ever looked into, so they
Okay.
might. Um, I feel like I'm so used to like the schools meeting and competing that I haven't thought about outside of school clubs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so I don't know.
Okay. So maybe that's a point of something to kind of just look at and see if there's any options for that.
Yeah.
Mhm. And then if not, we can go from there. But for now, we can just consider that maybe one of the intervention steps.
Yeah. And maybe my parents can help me on that one too.
Well,
I mean, they
yeah,
were big they were big supporters of me swimming, so maybe they might know.
yeah, I think that sounds great. And, yeah. Um, and do you think, well, let me finish writing this and then I'll ask. Do you think that it might be a different environment for you or feel different as far as like swimming in a like a club league versus school? Because I know school was pretty stressful and difficult for you, but
I guess if I swim with like a club or something else outside of school, I guess I'm hoping that those people wouldn't pick on me. Like, because like everyone's willing is there because they want to be there. So I feel like they'd be more excited to have me.
yeah. And plus, you're not spending a whole bunch of other time with them, like in classes and you know,
Yeah. And I feel like because they want to be there, maybe they won't see me as like a threat, like taking away something from them.
yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
That's a good outlook. Um, so with this one, as far as duration, um, when do you think would be a good time to like kind of look at this stuff by, you know, looking at leaks in the rec and possibly talking to your parents about it?
Um, I mean, I know that they do summer swim stuff, competitions. So maybe soon, honestly, since summer is almost here. See
But,
what I could do.
so maybe by like, the end of the month, maybe looking into that.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. It's a good timeline for this kind of stuff. Um, yeah, so now we're kind of just at the last part, where I just want to check with you that you understand and agree with this whole kind of treatment plan. Plan being
Yeah.
like a, yeah, definitive word, but
Yeah, absolutely.
okay. Then I I don't necessarily get the vibe from you that you're at imminent risk for suicide or hurting yourself. Obviously, I know the thoughts are kind of constantly there. The environment makes it all hard, but I don't think we need to activate any, M1 hold or any major intervention.
No, they're just thoughts, but I don't think I could go with it.
Um, and then it's not that I'm asking you to totally throw out your ideas of suicide or anything like that, because that might be overwhelming, but um, do you agree to at least just stay safe for now, like just to at least make it to our next session?
Yeah, yeah.
And if those thoughts and everything do get kind of overwhelming or just too intense, do you agree to either call those crisis services that we've talked about before, or even just reaching out to me?
Yeah.
Um, and your signature is technically needed on here. I can just forward you an image of the document and you can sign it online and then um, yeah, it'll work the same. Does that sound all right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Um, so is there anything else regarding this stuff that you're wanting to talk about or maybe that we might have skipped over some?
Mm-mm. No.
Great. Well, um, I just want to reaffirm with you again, this is never an easy topic. This is never an easy process, especially when it's so real and just raw with you right now. Um, like I said, I think you are dealing with a lot, and there's a lot of different areas of critique. So it honestly, it might be more surprising if this stuff wasn't getting in your head just because of how many different sources it's coming in at. Um,
Yeah.
so it's totally understandable of what you're kind of feeling. I don't think anything you were saying or describing is like, um, I don't know, outlandish or like jumping. I can't think of the right words for it, but hopefully you kind of know what I'm saying. Like nothing sounds out of the ordinary
Yeah.
in a sense. Um, yeah, and I think you coming and talking with me about all this today, it's a very courageous step in the right direction. Um, it's going to be a process. There's no switch that we can flip to just make everything good or make this go away, but there is a staircase. And so it's just taking one step at a time. And I think today was a good step.
Yeah. I do too.
Good. Okay, well, I'll go ahead and make sure that we forward this over to you so you can sign it. And then, of course, you have my number and you can outreach me at any time if you need or want. Yeah, just I'm totally on your side with this. So I want to be as available and helpful for you as I can be.
Okay.
And then otherwise, I will see you at our next appointment.
Okay.
Thanks, Rebecca. Cool. Great job.
I was gonna say great job to you too.
Yeah.
Um, I really like that you kept reassuring how I felt. I think that it says a lot.
Yeah. I mean, kind of
Like,
like you said and played into, it's like sometimes that's the first time that the client might be hearing that from someone.
oh, absolutely. Yeah, that made me think like, oh, I should make sure to start doing that. Like the reassuring of like to that level.
And I think
But
you did. I think you did some when you were doing the role play, but maybe just with like different words.
and I liked how it didn't feel like question at a time. Like you didn't word it word by the question. It felt more like a conversation. Like I knew they were questions, but it didn't feel like, oh, this is like 1 out of 8 or 2 out of.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
like the flow that you gave.
You could you hear me well the whole time?
Yeah, I heard you okay.
Sometimes I get kind of with my counselor voice a little more soft spoken, so it doesn't always pick up on Zoom or computer stuff.
No, you did good. I could hear you.
Oh, we should
Um,
recording.